So this reading is going to be a pick a pile all about what you are hiding in your underworld. Now, originally, I was going to do it on, what are the family secrets and soul fragments that are buried in the underworld. But Baron Samedi, he wanted me to focus on what's hidden in the underworld instead. So he is here with me right now. So is Papa Lipa and my mom Brigitte. They're all here. But it's Baron specifically that's going to be guiding this reading. So we have here 3 piles to choose from. Pile 1, pile 2, or pile 3. So which coffin are you drawn to? So I will give you guys a few minutes to select the pile that you're most drawn to. Remember, this is a general reading. Take it resonates and leave the rest. And if you feel drawn to multiple piles, then that means you might have some jewels in various piles. If you're not drawn to any pile, that's okay. This reading isn't for you, and there are going to be many more to come. So let's go ahead and get started with pile 1. Hi, pile 1. Those of you who chose the coffin with the number 1, let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 1. So this is your spread. Now, I had 10 cards total, so I kind of scrunched them together. So I will go over every card real quick. So this is, I'm feeling drawn to say the number 22 for some reason is significant for you guys right now in your shadow work. So if you're seeing a lot of 22, that just popped out at me, so I want to say this, then definitely pay attention. And we'll get more into that in a few minutes. I won't cry for you. So this is definitely the core energy of the reading, and the rest of the cards are sort of bringing in further clarification and details behind this. So we have these different shadow cards with different images and pictures, and I will focus on those in a minute just because these are not cards with designated definitions. They're more so abstract. So when I see them, I really tune in and see what messages are coming through. So we have here King Paimon. It's originally in Jinn and later added to the demonic hierarchy. This is also the Queen of Wands. Okay, so we have him. We have Vapula, the World card. We have Amon or Amon, 2 of Pentacles. And then we have Ha'a-Ginti or Ha'a-Ginti. And this is the Queen of Pentacles. So I do feel like most of you who chose this pile 1 are probably my feminines. You are either physically female in this incarnation, or you carry a feminine current, or you have wounds associated with the feminine in some kind of way. Now, hold on a second. Hold on. Owen's telling me something. Okay, so I'm getting child mother wounds coming through here. A lot of you have had critical parents that really had high expectations for you. They really didn't, it's like they provided for you in most of the cases, like materially. I mean, even if you guys weren't like well-to-do, it's like you definitely weren't struggling super bad for most of you. I'm not saying this is a case for everyone because this is a general reading, but I'm getting that there was like a lot of strife. As far as, I'm getting more so mother-daughter energy coming through, but it could be mother-son as well. But like I said, I feel like this is more so my feminines that chose this pile. So what I'm getting is like this critical energy. You feeling like you weren't really good enough. And it kind of created this performance focus. Like for some of you, it's like a performance anxiety or like a social anxiety, or feeling sort of insecure, never good enough. And for the rest of you, it's kind of turned you into very performance-focused people. In other words, people that are very concerned with how they perform and having like this social mask. So that's coming through really strong. And I feel like this is what's hidden in your underworld. This is like what you don't really see that's still affecting you right now. So even if you've done shadow work or underworld healing with this particular area, there's still something to this. And the whole crying tears of blood, there's like a very it's a bitterness, is a deep bitterness and a deep feeling of like abandonment at some level. So for some of you, it could also be that you were abandoned, literally. But I feel for most of you, this is having more to do with your feelings kind of being dismissed, your desires and really your kind of sovereignty and independence in a lot of way being dismissed. It's like this bulldozing energy and high criticism. So I'm getting like almost like a nitpicky energy coming through here. So you might have grown up in a home where you were nitpicked. So if it wasn't like a literal mother, I feel like it was like an aunt or grandma or maybe even an older sister, could be adopted parents as well. And it might be a father figure doing it. I'm just getting more mother wound coming through here. I just saw somebody dancing like a ballerina. And it's so funny because I saw something like this come up in a 101 reading I did with a client recently. And I can't remember if that client is on Patreon or not, or on YouTube, but it would be interesting to see if this client watches this video and chooses this file. I'm getting like this energy of, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that one song, Shatter Me. And it's supposed to be about this woman who's like spinning endlessly. She's like dizzy, spinning. And she just wants somebody to kind of make her feel something and snap her out of this kind of routine. And I feel like for a lot of you, there's this energy of you guys kind of on this repeated loop in your life where you feel like you're performing. Heavy performance energy coming through. There's going to be some other things coming through that are more so secondary messages. And I feel like if that's the case, you probably were drawn to one of the other piles too. So definitely check out whatever piles you were drawn to. I would definitely finish up with this pile, but I'm really getting a lot of women with performance issues coming through here. Some of you might have even been literal ballerinas as well. Now, I'm getting abuse also coming through. A lot of you felt like you had to comfort yourselves. Some of you may have grown to be extremely successful people that are extremely independent. I feel like it's like one extreme or the other. So I feel like for some of you, it's like it turns you into this very independent, kind of bristly, almost like hard on the outside type person. And for like the other half of you, it's like it's the opposite. It's like you have a really hard time with your boundaries and your sense of sovereignty. Okay, so I want to move on to the more specific messages here. I'm noticing that one thing that's popping out to me is the daemons, like 2 of them have wings here. And we have a lot of queen energy coming through. So again, a lot of feminine energy. And there's a lot of travel showing up here. So some of you might have traveled a lot in your life, or maybe you have the desire to travel, but also I'm getting almost this energy of escapism. So some of you might have like used like drugs or sex or alcohol or food or something along those lines, or even work, like as an escapism from your trauma. So I feel like for most of you, this isn't as prominent as it was in the past, but it's still something that you need to look into. These are still things that are coming through that are hidden in your underworld. I think for a lot of you who chose that pile, you really thought you overcame this shit. So whether you have done shadow work or not, you actually believe that this is something you overcame. And I think for a lot of you, it's if you feel like you overcame strength of will. And then that's more so my people coming through with the super strong independent vibes. And then for the other half of you, you're kind of like, well, I survived it and I'm not doing so bad. So I must have, overcame it. No. No. That's not what I'm getting. I'm getting that these traumas are very much still affecting you. And for most of you, it's inner child and inner adolescent, like child type wounds with mother or mother type figures or female you're a female, you know, who has these types of wounds from childhood and inner adolescent. Some of you were raped. I'm just getting that right off the bat, or molested. A lot of you, this is just like the energy coming through here. There's this very like male predatorial energy coming through to me. It's actually showing like the back of a woman that's kind of ripped open and pieces are ripped out of her. And she's sort of in this state of surrender. But if you look really closely, she's really being kind of pulled apart, but she's also facing this giant skull. So sometimes when I see this card, I think of people who are really trying to do shadow work or brave the underworld. But in this case, this feels like more of something that happened in the past that you haven't gotten over yet. A lot of you may still have soul ties to sexual partners, I'm getting to. And this is in your underworld as well. Like every time you guys were in a romantic relationship or you had sex with somebody, it like ripped off a part of your soul and then left this soul tie. So some you've kind of broken away from, others are still tied to, is what I'm getting. Like maybe 4 or 5 soul ties left. And for those of you who were raped or molested or like physically abused in that way, I definitely recommend really going back to that moment and reclaiming those soul fragments. Because for those of you that this happened to, this is why a lot of you struggle with sovereignty and boundaries. Because it's like you never, and look, this is right where the solar plexus would be. There's like all this gap here. So for a lot of you, you just have never felt whole since this has happened. And like I said, it could be like a combination, because I'm getting some promiscuity coming through here. And I don't mean that to mean like, who can say, right, what it means to be promiscuous. I mean in the sense that you were having sex with people at sort of more of a nymphomaniac type of shallow escapism energy because of the abuse you went through. For some of you. And this has to be dealt with. Like you have to do some serious healing with your confidence, your sense of self, your sense of boundaries. Because I'm almost getting that that's more of an issue than womb healing for you guys. But yeah, you definitely want to do that too. But I'm getting it has more to do with like, it was like the nail in the coffin for your sense of confidence and sense of self-love. Fragments. I'm getting for some of you, and this doesn't usually come through when I see this card, I'm getting for some of you, you might have been killed and brought back to life, or you might have tried to kill yourself and came back to life. I feel like some of you have lost loved ones that are really close to you, and this left fragments. Some of you even have loved ones that follow you around and kind of stalk you from the underworld. And it's because you're not listening to their messages and their warnings. And a lot of it is like they don't want to see you repeat the same mistakes they did. Because I'm getting like definitely generational trauma loops and curses going on here. I feel like for some of you, even the sexual abuse is like it's like a generational curse. It started because somebody was sexually abused generations back, and it just started this kind of loop. I'm getting it, and again, this makes sense because of this card right here, but I'm getting a lot of you may have narcissistic parents that kind of still have a hold on you to some degree. Like if you see in this picture, it's like this being here just looks like this big parasite to me. And then here's this little person here again, kind of looking like the middle part is missing, like they're not even whole, they're not even there all the way. And look at how big and powerful and like menacing this parasite is. It's like sucking the life out of them. It's like your identity is so wrapped up in what happened to you as a child. Pile 1 for a lot of you. Yeah, same kind of thing here. Same thing going on here with like the tentacles. It's parasitic energy. I feel like for you guys, a lot of what was used originally as a form of escapism could actually be something that ends up being your biggest strength later on. So And I feel like I'm not supposed to elaborate on that. I feel like I'm supposed to leave that up to interpretation for you to really decide. Because Bellum, he doesn't have any other messages for you. He kind of wants to just let that settle, let that hang. Definitely dig deeper, pile one. Because even if you've done shadow work, you just started, or even if you're like a novice or an advanced shadow worker, there's a lot more still to uncover. And I really recommend the inner child, inner adolescent wounds first. You know, releasing any soul ties you may have, reclaiming who you are, you know, the pieces that were took from you. Do shadow retrieval, like fragment retrieval with each person that you were with intimately, including any predators that, you know, violated you. And make sure you freed yourself from these parasitic connections, even if it's parents. Like, let's say you don't want to cut your family off, or like it could be toxic family or friends. You don't want to cut them off entirely, but you want to make sure they're not siphoning off of you, or that you don't have like an unhealthy connection to them. You want to do that soul tie, you know, severing with them too, because that doesn't mean you can't have a connection with them. It just means you're not going to let them siphon off of you. So yeah, definitely inner child, inner adolescent healing, cutting soul ties, soul fragment retrieval having to do with sexual abuse and sexual partners and romance. Soul fragment retrieval having to do with like suicide attempts, self-sabotage, self-destructive behaviors, escapism. Going back to those traumatic events that triggered that whole process, spending some time with your ancestors, specifically those that are trying to get your attention. You could even write letters to them and put on your ancestral altar, leave lots of ancestor offerings, set the intention to meet with these specific ancestors in your dreams, or ask them to be clear about what they're trying to share with you or show you, or just journey into the underworld and meet them there. Now, I teach how to do all this on Patreon, and I also can do guided meditations and underworld readings for you guys, so definitely hit me up on Patreon or on my business website if you guys are interested in that. That's all I have for you, Pile One. So I hope it resonated. I hope it was helpful. I want to let you guys know, as I've been saying lately, I do have a shamanic webinar, seminar, online seminar coming up, and a heart healing cacao ceremony coming up during the Lionsgate portal. So this would be really helpful for you guys, considering what I'm seeing here. So if you're able and interested, definitely reach out to me about that as well. And I'm going to have a promotional video in the end of this video for that. Okay. So take care of yourself, Pile One. Now moving on to Pile Two. Hi, Pile Two, those of you who chose this coffin with the number 2, let's get into your reading. Okay, Pile Two, this is your spread. So I have 10 cards here, so I had to kind of, you know, push it together. And I want to say that right here we have the core energy of this particular pile. Alone in the world, okay? I want to say that for you, when it comes to the underworld and shadow healing or shadow work, pay attention to the number 6. Because when 6 shows up, it's relevant. Now, these images are more abstract. There's no set definition, so I'll get into that later on in the reading. But I want to go ahead and go over each of these daemon cards before we jump in. So we have Glacia Labolas. Now, this is 7 of Wands, and it says here, causes murder and bloodshed, tells the things to come, causes the love of friends or enemies, and can make one invisible. We have here Bathen, which represents the Knight of Wands, teaches the value of herbs, stones, transports anyone suddenly from one place to another. We have Aim, the 5 of Cups, reveals secrets, increases one's intellect, spreads destruction by fire. And then we have here Belial, the Judgment card. And he is a very high-level daemon, just to throw that out there. Distributes promotions in high offices and can cause one to be liked. I'm getting a lot of lethargy coming through here. Depression, sorrow, isolation, some of you really wear it as a badge of honor. It's almost like this really causes you a lot of pain deep down, but on the external, you really project out that this is like something you want or it's a good thing. Like, oh, I'm alone because I don't deal with people like you, people, or I don't deal with anyone's bullshit or mess, but I'm getting this energy of you isolating yourself. So I feel like, you know, it's not like just you keeping out, you know, toxic people or toxic situations. It's like a hermit energy, but it's like a shadow aspect. So it's like you're hiding, pile two. You're hiding for some of you because you don't want to deal with the lessons that come from being around people. And you convince yourself that this is a strength. And I'm not saying that it's not, but the shadow aspect of that is that you really are lonely. And you deep down, you really do want companionship, but you convince yourself that the reason you don't have it is because people aren't worth it for some of you. Now, it's interesting to me. I don't know why, I'm getting like a lot of serpent energy coming through here. So some of you might have dealt with a lot of, and now, because usually when I see the serpent, I think of like Underworld, I think of, snake medicine, I think of shedding one's skin. But I feel like you've dealt with a lot of treachery, and this is why you've isolated yourself. Treachery over the years, betrayal. For some of you, you've had like people literally snatched away from you, job opportunities snatched away from you. Maybe even people dying. Like some of you might be widows or widowers or have lost people in a very like shocking, traumatic way. Or somebody cheated on you, or somebody was literally taken away from you, like in a romantic type situation or in friends. Like people chose someone else over you, I'm getting over and over again for some of you. And this has really led to this feeling, this deep feeling of loneliness, and like you can't trust anybody. And what's interesting here is you see in this picture here, she's sitting there, and it's like she's sitting there alone in a bed naked as though she's just made love to somebody, but there's nobody there. So it's almost this energy for some of you that you might be in a marriage. I'm getting some of you arranged marriage. So it's not the kind of thing I would think it would come through in this reading, because most cultures don't do arranged marriages, but there are still some cultures that do. So some of you might be in an arranged marriage. I just got. And some of you might be in a relationship or marriage that is business related. Like this is a very select people. Like maybe you're trying to get like a green card or a visa. I got for very few of you, or like you're with him because you don't want to work. Like you're with them because or they have a lot of money. Maybe there's a big age difference. Maybe this person cheats on you, like they work a lot and they cheat on you, and they cheat on you, but you just sort of stay and put up with it because, you're well-to-do, or you're like, well, at least I don't have to work. Again, this for some of you, very few of you. But you're lonely. You want more. Some of you are the ones doing the cheating. So for those of you who have been like an ongoing, because I feel like for a very select few of you, you might be in like an ongoing relationship, like some sort of a 3-person situation here, like a 3 of Cups energy going on. I'm not saying that in the cards here, but it's like an energy coming through. We do have a 5 of Cups, which definitely points to like crying over spilt milk, or not being satisfied, or feeling like you lost something because you didn't act right in some cases, or somebody else didn't act right. And so I feel like for some of you, you are the one cheating and betraying someone else, and you're like really tired of keeping it going. This could be, for those people, this could be like how you feel when that person leaves your bed, and then you're alone in your own home, having had intimate relations with that person that you're not married to, or you're not in a relationship with. And you guys need to come clean. Like this is something you've been bearing for a long time. I feel like some of you are going to get exposed. I'm just being real. So like, I really feel like if that is you and you're doing something shady, even if it's not a relationship, it could be like a business deal. It could be like, maybe you're talking behind someone's back, or maybe you're doing something or taking credit for something shady's going on for some of you. And this is what's in your underworld that needs to be addressed. And if you don't address things and make them right, it's going to blow up in your fucking face, okay? For lack of a better word. Again, select few of you. But in a general sense, you guys feel very alone in the world. Some of you have spirit attachments, I'm getting. And I'm not getting it's anything too malicious. Like I'm getting it's more of like astral parasites or something. Like some of you have been like practicing magic. Oh my god, guys, seeing this image of somebody like playing with like a magic wand, like a toy, like woo! Like it's like like a toy from a store or something, and you're like playing with forces and energies that you don't fully understand. Like you might be like a new witch, a baby witch. I swear to God, guys, this is not coming from me, but it's got basic bitch witch or basic witch bitch. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I gotta deliver the message. This is what's coming through. And because of it, you're not like doing protection. Some of you haven't been doing protections, and you've been doing like astral projection, and you're picking up astral parasites, or you've been like journeying into like the underworld without protecting yourself first, or like just doing witchcraft in general, spell work in general without protecting yourself. Some of you have even been doing like hexes, jinxes, crosses without protecting yourself. And yeah, it's like you're getting back what you're sending out, dummy. Like that's what I'm getting. Like somebody's saying that. I'm not laughing at y'all, I'm laughing at these messages that are coming through. Like this is a spanking for some of you. I'm not talking to the people that are like isolated because they went through some trauma. I'm like talking to those of you that knew you've been done doing some wrong stuff. Okay, you've been doing wrong stuff, and you're like, what's in my underworld? Showing up for this reading, like you thought it was just gonna be like some fluffy shit. You didn't know I was gonna get into this and expose you all. That's what's funny to me. All right, everyone's laughing his ass off. Anyway, so some of you have been doing like this magical working that you're not prepared for. For some of you, it may be that just something simple, like you haven't really activated your clairs yet, but you're like summoning spirits. So like what I mean by that is you may not have clairvoyance, but you're like summoning, demons, or summoning, angels, or summoning gods or goddesses, but you have no idea like when they're there, or what they look like, or what they're doing. And you can't even verify like if they're real spirits or if they're imposters, because you don't have these abilities activated. So if that is you, and it is an honest mistake that happens with people when they're new in this, but I'm just bringing it to your attention for your own safety. Like make sure that you are doing your protections, one, and that you know what you're doing, okay? And also make sure that you have at least one clair ability activated where you can detect like who or what you're doing or working with, okay? And if you're going to send hexes, curses, jinxes, crosses, look, I'm not here to tell y'all what to do, because I feel like there are times that baneful magic is necessary. I am a being of, is it justified? But some of y'all are doing this out of spite. You're doing it because you can. I don't know why I was drawn to this energy right here all of a sudden, because here's the judgment card. So some of you are doing stuff that isn't really what you should do according to your soul contract, or like you're doing what isn't necessary or justified. You're doing it out of spite. And a lot of you are just gonna like be exposed. And I feel like a lot of you, for those of you who have done like hexes, jinxes, crosses, things of that nature, and it was not justified, and you did it just to be, just to be baneful or spiteful for no other reason. Or maybe like somebody made you mad, but it was like a very small slight, where you just took something a certain kind of way, but you like did this crazy ass hex on them. It was like way over the top. Yeah. Bowen's saying, yeah. He's saying, you got to be willing to accept the consequences of your actions. So it's not about karma. Like there's some little man writing shit down up there. It's about, you know, your actions have consequences. They have ripples that go out. And a lot of y'all aren't even well versed enough to do this work in the first place. Some of you are stuck in trauma loops. There's a lot of, not even some of you, a lot of you are stuck in trauma loops. And it's like I'm seeing these soul fragments that are just spinning around in this dark, shadowy vortex, but it's like layers of them. So like there's several loops. Some of this is ancestral, but most of this I'm getting is like a soul fragment broke off during a traumatic event and it just got stuck in this loop. So you have to go into your underworld and retrieve this and address it. So either through integration, you know, releasing, or destroying. Here, skeletons in the closet, it's yours and your ancestors. Your ancestors did some dirt too. Wow, I just got some really deep, guys. So for some of you, and I feel like it's more so in the giving, some of you have some ancestors that like lynching slaves, or even people like post-slavery, like civil rights people, like lynching them. And you may even be from mixed ancestry. You might even be like half or a quarter so-called, you know, African American. Like you may be a melanated person, but there's someone in your ancestor that did this. If you're Caucasian, especially if you're living in the South, then there you go. And you got to deal with this ancestor. You've got to deal with this like family sin, this family secret. Okay? It's a skeleton buried. For some of you, oh my gosh, some of you has to do with a child, a death of a child or a loss of a child. Some of you might have literally had like an abortion or a miscarriage, or maybe a child like died. I'm getting for some of you it's SIDS, like it wasn't, there's no explanation, and it was very traumatizing for you. And it's connected to your ancestors. Something, there was a baby killed. I feel like, I don't know why, but I'm getting, for some of you, for very select few, it could be like a kid that was connected to like a reservation. Because I'm seeing this ancestor as like a nun. Like something happened, like I feel like this kid was like beat to death or something and buried. Ooh, heavy stuff coming through this pile. So definitely need to look into ancestral curses and generational curses and things that happen in your family line that need to be addressed. Like you need to go talk to these ancestors and get their confession, you know, find out what happened, you know, and what do they need to heal and elevate. You know, do they need to give recompense to, you know, the descendants of those people? Do they need to forgive themselves? Do they need to be forgiven by you? Do they need to like work with you? I mean, what do they need? Like what's going on here? You got to go in and look at that. And definitely book with me, guys. If any of this is resonating, because this is some heavy stuff. Especially if you guys are new to shadow work or you haven't done enough, like please book with me because there's some really heavy stuff in here. And I feel like that's it for you guys. Pile 2, I know this is like super heavy, but that's what it's there. This is the stuff hidden in your underworld that, you know, you either don't want to see or can't see. So when we expose things and we bring them into the light of the conscious mind, we can then deal with them and heal at that level. So definitely reach out to me if you guys need a session, or if you're interested in joining Patreon, we can learn how to do the shadow healing work yourself. Also, consider, you know, enrolling for my shamanic seminar or webinar coming up, and, you know, cacao heart healing ceremony. They're both taking place during the Lion's Gate. All right, guys, take care, pile 2. I'm going on to pile 3 now. Hello, pile 3. For those of you that chose the coffin with the number 3, this is your reading. Okay, pile 3, this is your spread. So I want to say right off the bat, the core energy of the reading is anger and chains in reverse. And we're going to get into why it's in reverse. Whew. I want to say that you might see either 62 or 29 as an infernal or underworld number dealing with your shadow healing journey or your underworld. So I want to just put that out there right out the gate. So if you see that number, it might be an indication that there's something that you need to look at in your shadow that needs to be healed. Okay. Now, these pictures right here are very abstract, so I basically tune in and get the interpretation for what's coming through. So I want to go ahead and touch on these daemons that have more specific definitions, okay? So we have here Andrus, which is actually the Chariot card. Sower of Discord and Slayer of Men. I'm going to get into this because this is coming through like super strong in this reading. We have Zagon, Eight of Pentacles. Turns water into wine and then back again. Turns blood into wine. Turns any metal into legal coins and makes fools wise. We have here Gaap, or Gap, not sure how to pronounce it. The star cards, we got a lot of major arcana coming through here. Can cause love or hate. Can make one ignorant and without sins. Delivers familiars from other magicians. Can move one place to a place. Okay. And then we have Amdusius. I think that's how you pronounce it. Nine of Pentacles. Looks like a unicorn. Very cool. Causes any manner of music to be played. Causes trees to bend at will and brings excellent familiars. Now, I have to say this is going to sound a little silly probably for some of you, but some of you might have a unicorn as a totem or a shadow totem that wants to come through and help you. We'll get into what that could mean in a minute, but I feel like I need to say that. Okay. I don't mean to laugh. Unicorns are awesome. All right. So what's coming through super heavy to me, and heavy is just really there. There's this deep, sluggish, sort of stoic, drudgery kind of energy coming through for you, pile 3. Like in your underworld, it's like muddy and mucky and stiff. Like things have turned to stone. It's like I'm seeing faces in like trees and in the side of like your cave, and like people stuck in mud and fragments stuck in mud and they can't move. There's just this very like stoic, stuck kind of prison energy. And it's funny because right here we have anger and chains in reverse. And I don't take that to mean in reverse, like, oh, I broke my chains. It's like instead of you having this external expression of anger, it's like this internalized anger of self-destruction or like almost a depression. So for some people, they get so angry or so distraught or so, I'm going to say like enraged, okay, or irate, that instead of them expressing it, they just turn it inward. And that can be in the form of being a very like depressed or kind of, bitter, reticent type person. But it could also like take the form of you being the kind of person that could explode at any minute and just kind of doesn't really, I don't know, guys, I'm getting this real stuck energy coming through here. That's what I'm really getting. And look at this image. It's like a lion upside down with all these abstract shapes just flying around. You probably feel like the whole world passes you by. I mean, look at these images. Look at this, guys. This guy right here, by the way, I feel like a lot of you are men. This is like a masculine pile. I feel like you're either like physically men in this incarnation or have a very masculine energy, but look at this. This guy's like literally, he's like waist deep in the shadow with these cords just tethered to the ground and he can't move. And he's just surrounded by all these like empty looking, decaying faces. And look at this energy. It's like a guy with war paint just sitting there in contemplation and regret. I'm getting a lot of regret coming through too. A lot of you have had past lives and even current life and also ancestry where you've been to war a lot. Because I'm seeing bloodshed coming through in a lot of the demon cards. And then I'm seeing this, like this to me looks like war paint. It looks like a warrior or like a tribal leader, or even it could be even Viking for some of you. Like I feel like for some of you it's like an indigenous medicine man or woman or like a chief, or like a warrior, like a tribal warrior, like an indigenous sense. But others it's like I'm getting like Viking or Celtic kind of warrior energy. For those of you that aren't from like that type of indigenous ancestry, I'm getting that kind of energy too. And I feel like some of you might have killed people in this lifetime, and that's in your underworld. So it could have been on accident. It could have been like a violent altercation. I'm getting for some of you, you might have been in a car accident, like you were drunk driving. And that's where like this regret and stoicism, it's like you kind of never left. Like that event traumatized you and you like can't, it's like ever since then you've been able to move forward. I think for some of you, like when trauma happened to you, whatever it was, it's like it froze you in time. Like you had so many soul fragments that just broke off. It's like you just got stuck. Because I'm not seeing a loop for you guys. I'm seeing like frozen in time. Like some of you might even, and I'm gonna try to be as sensitive as possible if I say this, some of you might even like have like mental conditions where you almost like your emotional maturity like doesn't go beyond that of a child or an adolescent because something really traumatic happened at a young age and you just kind of got stuck. Others of you might have like other types of personality disorders. I'm getting some of you might have PTSD also, but I'm also getting like some strong, like, I feel like I'm getting this phrase, I was forced to be a sociopath. I don't know what that means. Like, I feel like that's for a very specific person, but I feel like for this person, you grew up on the streets, like gang activity, and you had to harden yourself. It wasn't who you really were. You were actually a very sensitive young man. I'm getting that I feel like you're either of Mexican American or like African American ancestry or something. It could, I don't know. I feel like you're melanated, whoever this is coming through. And I don't like using the term Mexican American, African American, because, you know, we all know that's bullshit, but I'm using that to help you identify who this, you know who you are. If whoever is listening to this, you know who you are. Some of you might have even went to jail for something you didn't do, involving a murder or something violent. Some of you witnessed something violent in your home at an early age. Some of you witnessed like your mother being abused, I'm getting, or your siblings, you yourself. I'm seeing a stick, like some of you were beaten with like a stick, spoon, a belt. I'm getting mostly a stick. Some of them actually told you to pick the stick that they beat you with. Some of you even have scars still from it, like on your butt and your back. Some of you have been stabbed. I don't know what that's coming through. Like a lot of some of you might have stab scars or wounds in this lifetime. Some of you, this happened in other lifetimes where you got in a lot of violent altercations, and you carried that over in this lifetime with like you have birthmarks that show where you were stabbed or shot or killed. Some of you were in war, like war veterans, and I would expect the PTSD or kind of like this feeling of like a warrior and regret too. And that I feel like some of you have even repeated that, like you did it in a previous lifetime and then you did it in this lifetime, because again, you just kind of got stuck in this energy. See, this literally represents stuck, like watching the world go by to me. Look at this. Some of you look like this. I don't know why I'm getting like some of you that are on this channel, like you literally look, you're fair skin with like dark hair, kind of lanky. It's interesting. It's like I feel like some of you actually literally look like that character. I'm hearing like something with the grandfather. Like I feel like a grandfather is trying to help you. Like I see him giving you money or something. Some of you killed a male family member because it was an altercation of some kind or a dispute over money. And if you didn't do it in this lifetime, it's like you did it in a past life, and that person is also your ancestor simultaneously. So you may even have issues with money loss in this incarnation because of that. But I can see why, even for those of you, because I know it's kind of intense stuff to be talking about, but even those of you who this hasn't happened to in this incarnation, or those of you who are not aware of your past lives or ancestry with this, either way, even if you take away all of the violence that's coming through, there's still this energy of feeling stuck. And it's really guilt related for most of you and regret. It's like you're living in the past of what could have been or what was, and you need to be letting go. You need to address what happened, the traumas that incurred, deal with those soul fragments, like cut yourself free from any soul ties. And you're not the only pile that had soul ties. In fact, soul ties has been a reoccurring theme in this reading, in this general reading of every pick a pile. but yours like keep you tied down in your life. The other ones were keeping people more tied to other people, but for you, I feel like it's like making you immobile in your path. So if it's not a physical immobility or emotional, it's like spiritual. It's like it's just this feeling of being stuck. And you have to be the one to free yourself. Pile 3. So definitely journey into your underworld and deal with these traumas, deal with these soul fragments, deal with these ancestral loops, these hell loops, trauma loops. And for those of you that did come from violent or abusive homes, or those of you who did, you know, either kill or witness someone being killed, I can't imagine what you've gone through and how you must feel. But carrying it, carrying it and holding on to it is not doing anything for you or that person that is involved. And it's not hurting them either. So it's not helping them and it's not hurting them, but it's hurting you. So please, you know, you're going to have to, you know, you spend a lot of time looking in the past for a lot of you, pile 3. If you're going to do that, you need to look into the past, into these traumas, look them in the face and address exactly what happened, exactly how you felt, what you lost as a result. You know, get it back, release it, do what you need to do to make things right in your own mind. But, you know, you've got to let things go and move forward. You have to. Okay. So that's the reading I have for you, pile 3. Take what resonates and leave the rest. You guys would definitely benefit from booking a session with me, you know, and checking out my Patreon where I do shadow healing. Also consider checking out the shamanic seminar and the cacao heart healing ceremony I have coming up. These are 2 different events I have coming up during the Lionsgate portal. So I'm going to be talking about that in this video and information in the drop-down menu if you're interested. So I hope that this helped you guys. I hope it resonated. Take what resonates with the rest, as I said before, and take care of yourselves, pile 3. Shalom, my lovelies. I wanted to take a minute of your time to talk about some amazing things coming up. So I have the Lionsgate Shamanic Seminar coming up, and this is going to be from Saturday, August 6th to Monday, August 8th, and it's going to be from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm going to be taking you guys on shamanic journeys, 3 per day. This is going to go into the underworld, deal with inner child healing, ancestral work, inner adolescent healing, other types of shadow work integration, soul fragment retrieval, breaking of generational curses, and hell loops. So this is a very amazing, once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this again, so definitely hit me up if you're interested. Also, the same night of the Lionsgate on August 8th, starting at 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., I'm also going to be doing a cacao heart healing ceremony. So this will also be done live through Zoom, just like the shamanic seminar, but it's going to be more of a ceremony. So you can participate with cacao, or you can just simply be present and participate in the frequency. So definitely reach out to me if you guys are interested in either, and I will send you more information. I'm also going to drop down details in the drop down menu below. I hope to see you there.